Hey guys, we're now into September and it's time to harvest my vegetables. I've got some carrots and potatoes and beets and actually a few onions that need to come out of the ground. As you can see, the potatoes have all flattened down and they started to break off and bend. So they've got to come out of the ground. They used to be 4 feet high, now they're only one foot high. We are now in late September here in Canada and we've seen a few nights of frost. The potato plants have really settled down and it's a beautiful weekend, so why not get those fruits out of the ground and into storage for the winter ahead. I have a DIY cellar to keep the veggies fresh over the winter months. Now right off the bat here, the shovel seemed like a good idea, like a good tool to loosen up that soil to find the potatoes, but I think a pitchfork would have been better. In any case, let's collect those potatoes. There's one right above the shovel there if you want to push through. Hold one up to the camera, or two when you get it or something. There's some there.
It's hard to see.
There's one up against the wood.
I think this is where I was picking them before, so that might be a reason why they're so few.
Yeah, there's a few more. These aren't bad size.
There's just one here a minute ago. There it is. It's hard to see.
Let's go right there. Oh, shoot. Can you make scalloped potatoes out of purple potatoes? Oh, jeez.
Shoot.
Digging underneath too far, I think, because they're all really close to the surface. Yeah. Yep. There it is.
Tossing them in there.
So I just finished harvesting my potatoes. They are not too bad. The yellow ones are a little bit small for this year, but the blue ones are a little bit bigger than I expected. So these are Russian blue and blue right through. So I'm not going to wash these, just going to leave them as is and put some of my loam and soil from my garden into another bin, and then get them ready for storage at about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, and that will be sufficient to store them for several months for the winter. I've dug my potatoes and I haven't washed them. I've gone through them and weeded out any of the weak ones or ones that may have been damaged during harvesting, and I've also sorted them so that the larger potatoes are separated from the smaller ones, and also by the different kinds. So the reason why I'm separating the two types of potatoes is that the smaller ones have a tendency to go bad first. So I want to make sure I get those used before I use the larger potatoes. So there are obviously different methods you could use to store your potatoes. Some people like to put them in a cellar and lay them out flat on some plywood, and the cellar is very humid, so the potatoes won't dry out. But the method I like to use involves these bins here. So what I do is I keep them covered in the soil in which they were grown. So I'll put a layer of soil down at the bottom of these containers, and then I'll put a layer of potatoes and then a layer of soil so that they're covered up. This keeps them dark. It keeps them cool because they'll be in a cool environment, and it's also at the perfect humidity, which is about 95%. So I monitor the humidity throughout the season, and if it gets a little bit too dry in there, I just put a bit of moisture in on top of the soil, and that will help change the moisture throughout the entire cellar. Now the cellar that I'm using, I'll show you shortly, is just a thing that I made with some styrofoam, and I keep it in my garage. My garage is kept cool throughout the entire winter, and in turn the vegetables will be kept cool there inside as well. So that one is ready to be stored for the season, and whenever I want a potato for a meal, I just come out into my garage and dig it up from this bin. So I have all my potatoes packed away, and now it's time to put them in the cellar. So I moved my bins with the potatoes into my garage, and I dropped in little labels so I know what's what. So here is the little cellar I've been mentioning. It's made out of styrofoam and wood, and the wood brackets here are spaced far enough to suspend the bins, and the floor is open so that it can have direct contact with the cool concrete floor. And of course the door for it is right here. So let's get this loaded up. Now while I'm loading this up, let me just clarify. The garage is heated to about plus 10 Celsius, but the outside temperature in the winter can be as low as minus 40. The concrete pad in the corner will average about plus 5 degrees throughout the season, so I'm taking advantage of that cold temperature to bring the cellar temperature down, where I can preserve the potatoes for the winter season without risk of them freezing or getting too warm. So there you have it. The vegetables are put away for the season. I have a thermometer and a device to measure the humidity that I'll place inside here to keep a track of the temperature and the humidity. So there you have it. That concludes my video on the storage of my potatoes for the winter. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see what other projects I'm up to, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks.